We have the solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Libra, happening on October 2nd at 11:49 a.m. Pacific, which is 2:49 p.m. Eastern. Check your local time to see when this lunar event is occurring for you. Welcome to the last solar eclipse in Libra, and any eclipses in Libra for quite a while. We won't see any more eclipses in Libra for another 9 years. We still have one more in Aries happening in March, but we're winding down the Aries-Libra axis in terms of these eclipses and switching over to the Pisces-Virgo axis, which will officially be in that axis by February 16th of 2025. So at that point, we'll be at 29 degrees for Pisces at the North Node and Virgo at the South Node. But for now, we've got this grand finale in Libra energy. Considering this is a new moon event, it's interesting calling it a grand finale. But with the conditions of this solar eclipse, it has a vibe to it, which is about letting go of something that's preventing our progress, especially something that's throwing us off kilter, in order to start new, especially anything to do with Libran energy. Another thing about this eclipse is it's an annular solar eclipse, so it creates a ring of fire effect, which basically means the moon is going to appear smaller than it typically does when it gets in front of the sun for a solar eclipse, so we won't get 100% coverage, leading to that ring of fire effect and looking like a disk is in front of the sun. Energetically, this moon is very potent, but also it has an edgy tone to it. We do have a few sweet spots, but for the most part, this is a little rough around the edges in terms of solar eclipses. Despite the prickliness of this celestial event, the vibes on the graph are mostly decent. We have some good luck energy that's going to be lasting over the whole entire week. Usually I look at 48 hours after or around that lunar event, but within this 48 hours, we've got some good luck energy. We also have ambitious vibes too, which can help us feel encouraged to take action on whatever needs to be taken care of in our lives and maybe to seek some sort of balance. And a lot of that is also because of the edgy transits we have as well. But having this good luck energy combined with it may help us in terms of finding some fortunate opportunities. And yeah, sure, as we get to the third, solitude and emotional sensitivity are present and intersecting these vibes. So we may have some moments where we need some space to ourselves. We may feel more triggered than typical, but there might be this underlying feeling of really just not wanting to be bothered because you just don't have the bandwidth to deal with others. But here we are at this last solar eclipse in Libra, and this can help us shed light on specific areas of our lives regarding Libran things. Before I start speaking of that, one thing to note, well, a bunch of things to note. I usually say these during eclipse seasons, and this will be the last you have to hear for another 6 months. But this is definitely not a time to manifest. Eclipses are ultra keyed up celestial events, so they're not like your typical new and full moons where you do that intentional work, you do the journaling, the meditation, and things like that, because it's the perfect astrological weather for those things. However, during eclipses, it's a changing of the light of the luminaries. There's a disruption there, which could lead to adverse effects if you're trying to set intentions, plant seeds, manifest, and whatnot. So it may bring something to you faster before you're ready, or it may slow it down and maybe you're ready for it already and now it's been pushed back. Also, it's not just that, there are other things that can backfire during these times because it is a switching of the light of the luminaries. And it carries such a charge with it that can feel somewhat malefic, so it's just not advised to do those types of works during eclipse season. But this is the last one. Within a couple of days, I would say probably maybe by the 5th, it would be a time where, yeah, if you want to do that kind of work, we'll still be somewhat in the new moon phase, sure. Have at it once we get to that moon in Scorpio or even Sagittarius, because at least those are regular moons and you're not having the situations you would with an eclipse. And so all that being said, this is my eclipse rant. I generally don't do reflective questions during these times because of that, because they're kind of prompty, which, is generally used for journal prompts, meditations, or intention setting. So instead, I'm going to look at the possible themes that can pop up during this solar eclipse. Solar eclipses in astrology is light being shed on an area that needs a new beginning. And because this is at the South Node, it can also feel like an ending point or a releasal point. So this may be a time where we're coming into a phase where we're letting go of bad habits that prevent peace, harmony, love, and quality relationships, because we are dealing with Libran energy. And so this could be a time where something dawns on us that we need to release something in order to gain some sort of equilibrium in our lives again. It can be a very illuminating time and a sudden realization that we need to get on a new path stuff that's going to give us that peace, that's going to give us that balance, and also seek some sort of fairness in our lives as well. We might find ourselves having a revelation about the relationships in our lives and why they lack reciprocity. Of course, this can be all of our relationships, not just romantic, mainly our close one-on-one relationships. So platonic, close friends, business partnerships, of course, romantic relationships, and even to some degree, close family members. One of the things with relational stuff is there may be a revelation that we're needing to let go of people who oppose us. So this could be relationships with people that we openly know have a problem with us. And sometimes that can come in the form of our personal relationships, whether it be a romantic relationship, whether it be someone who comes off like a frenemy or a business partner that's trying to step on your toes. On the flip side, this could be a time to harmonize your one-on-one relationships. And by that, the relationships that do bring you that fairness, that bring that balance, that bring that reciprocity. So this might be a time of making peace with those relationships, or more or less, you're learning how to be the one to reciprocate all of those lovely actions. Sometimes with fairness in this too, it could be a time where you're realizing that it's time to bring some sort of balance rather than you maybe doing all the work or someone else doing all the work. And what I mean by that is speaking up a bit, even if it's uncomfortable, to ensure that others are meeting you halfway, that you're also making concessions, and especially that you're no longer bottling things up just to keep the peace, and resolving any issues where there might be resentment in a healthy relationship that you may have. Another area of life that can come to balance is your relationship to beauty, to aesthetics, to fashion, to art, to theater. Maybe there were situations where you put a lot of the things that you enjoy on the back burner, especially when it comes down to your own aesthetic or love of culture, and now this may be a time where you're feeling like you're in a place to get back into those things. So it may be a period of gaining traction in that area, especially if you've lost yourself in some sort of way. And with Libra energy, sometimes that's losing ourselves in relationships and codependency. This may be a time where you're ready to zhuzh yourself up again and to go out and enjoy all those lovely things. A solar eclipse like this can usher in a new era, so that way we're balancing what's lopsided in our lives, allowing us to get back on track, so we're harmonizing every facet of our lives and our one-on-one relationships. Let's look at these transits and see what we can expect from this lunar event. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. Also, if you're looking for a natal chart reading or intuitive coaching, the links will be in the description box below. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. The link will be in the description box below as well. This solar eclipse in particular has some prickly aspects to it. We do have some sweet spots, but the chart ruler is kind of getting pounded in terms of the aspects it's receiving. Of course, since we're dealing with Libra, Venus is the chart ruler for the celestial event, and it happens to be making a bunch of semi-squares and a sesquiquadrate thrown in for good measure. Venus is making semi-squares to the moon, the sun, and Mercury, but also making a sesquiquadrate to Neptune. So this is a time where light might be shed on areas of life that we're clouded about, whether it be our finances, whether it be our relationships of all kinds, romantic and platonic. Maybe our judgment might have been clouded in those areas, and so this celestial event is giving us an opportunity to see them for what they really are and cut through a lot of the fog that we've been experiencing concerning the luminaries, and also Mercury, since we've got that Libra stellium. Mercury is at 11 degrees and conjunct the sun, along with obviously the moon that we have in this new moon situation, which happen to be making complex alignments to Mars and Uranus. So it can feel like an edgy time. It can also feel like a time where we're ready to make changes and do what we need to, but we're not necessarily looking at things clearly because we're wanting what we want right now at this very moment rather than waiting for it. So there's a chance of making some impulsive decisions and having a lot of clouded judgment, which could lead to unintended consequences and other types of messy results. Also, our tempers may seem more flared up than typical. We may be touchier than typical, so that's something else to be aware of. And within this energy, there can be moments where there's some unexpected contact going on with people we just didn't think that we'd hear from and maybe don't want to hear from, but also communication may take a bit of a bizarre turn with this. Whether that's just having some eccentric conversations or someone who's saying things for shock value. And along with that, there could be quite an argumentative tone around this type of energy. energy. Luckily, the chart ruler is in contact with Mars and Saturn in a harmonious way, so this may help us pivot a bit and take the right types of actions, even if we might have been going wrong throughout these next 48 hours with certain things. This could help us in terms of pivoting, changing course, and getting on the right path so that way we're doing things that promote any type of progress we're trying to make in our lives. The signs that'll feel this lunar event more than others will be the cardinal modality: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, between 8 to 20 degrees of these zodiac placements. So if you have planets and chart points within these signs, you'll feel this lunar event more than others. Anyway, I hope you all have the most constructive solar eclipse in Libra ever. Later, and see you in the next episode.